On the 4th of April this year, we spoke about Greater Manchester Police Constable PC Julian Maynard, another police cretin who thought it appropriate to abuse his position within the police to meet himself vulnerable women to take advantage of. In the last report, which I'll link to in the description and up here, we spoke about how he had been jailed on the 1st of April after he pleaded guilty to 2 charges of misconduct in public office at Preston Crown Court in December of 2021. During the trial, it was heard how he was hounding 2 women that he met in the course of his duties with thousands of calls and texts, some of a sexual nature. One of the victims he met after he responded to a domestic violence incident. Nothing quite like a timid, damaged and broken woman to make you feel all powerful. Am I right? Well, I would be if I was a police constable. Maynard was thankfully sentenced to 8 months in prison after he formed inappropriate relationships by abusing his position as a police constable for sexual purposes. Mobile phone data uncovered throughout the investigation showed more than 1,000 messages and calls sent from his personal phone, and an examination of his work mobile showed a high number of calls and texts to a second woman, that high number being 1,900 or thereabouts. Well, as you know, police like to string things out, and instead of simply booting the cretin out of the police once he had been found guilty in court, they hang on. And although I don't know the policy about suspension from the police and being in the nick at the same time, I've not been able to find any information to suggest that their payment would stop, because they're still suspended at the time, even if they're in jail, until the misconduct hearing is held. Anyway, this week his misconduct hearing was held, although Maynard didn't appear for his hearing as he was too busy getting serviced by Bubba the Nonce Wing King. At least I hope he was. And in any absence of any mitigation from Maynard other than an apology, Chief Constable Stephen Watson said his actions amounted to several breaches of standards and therefore to misconduct. Watson said these offences were directed towards 2 women who were rendered vulnerable. The breaches are an egregious departure from anything that can be tolerated in the service. In his apology, Maynard criticised the force for what he thought was a lack of care and support for himself throughout the case. Cheeky cunt. But the Chief Constable was unimpressed and said it was he who had let down his colleagues. Yeah, never mind about letting down the public. You know, it's not like you're there for them. He ruled Maynard would have been dismissed had he still been in his role. He said Maynard's conduct has rightly given rise to the ruination of his career and the loss of his liberty. I have determined that had he not resigned already, I would have dismissed him without notice. Maynard was placed on the College of Policing's barred list, where he remains unless he succeeds in a review application. However, thankfully he won't be able to make a review for the minimum of 5 years. Now, this seriously seems to be one of the most reported on offences within the police. You'd think it would be something like assault or even drugs, but you know, that would likely be most reported. But taking advantage of women who are in vulnerable positions for their own sexual gratification does seem to far outweigh any other offence. But nah, there's no issues in the police, is there? They're the good guys. Well, until your sister, daughter or mother becomes a victim anyway.
Another one bites the dust.